أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين منتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين الغرر الميامين سيما بقية الله في الأرضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا وإمام زماننا وصاحب نعمتنا وولي أمرنا مهدي هذه الأمة وطووس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري فداه وأرواح العالمين صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
One day Rasulullah is sitting in his mosque in Medina and he's with a few of his companions and they're having a discussion. All of a sudden, some body enters inside the mosque. Now, it wasn't a human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran that the humans are not the only creation that I have created, for there are angels as well, there are jinns as well, there are celestial beings as well. So this wasn't a human. He came forward and the companions of the Prophet got scared. Now you'll know throughout history, whether you look at Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, Khaybar, Hunayn, being scared was something that was very common between some. However, they became fearful at the sight of whatever this jinn, this beast was. So Rasulullah turns towards his companions and he says, "Oh my companions, do not worry, as long as I am here, he won't harm you." So the Prophet turns towards this being and he says, "Introduce yourself, who are you?" So he says, "I am the great-great-grandson of Iblis, Shaitan." So 3 generations down. The Prophet says, "Okay, why have you come?" He said, "I've come because I have a question that I would like you to answer." So Rasulullah said, "Go ahead." He said, "Our job and our grandfather's job, Shaitan's job, is what? Is to lead mankind astray. And every single time we see a human being, our job is waswasa fi sudurin nas, to whisper into their hearts, to lead them off the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just like that, we used to come towards every prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and our aim was to lead him astray. But the problem that we were having was when we went to Nabi Adam, for example, and we tried to lead him astray, there was a man that would come. Now we don't know who this man was. I'm sure you already know who it was. But we don't know who this man is. So we used to think to ourselves, maybe it's the prophet that's going to come after this prophet, and he's protecting the prophet before. So Nabi Adam, we tried, this man came, he scared us to such an extent that we ran away. Then Nabi Nuh alayhi salam came. When we saw Nabi Nuh, we saw, okay, so that wasn't Nuh alayhi salam. When we came to approach Nuh to send him off the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this individual came forward again and looked at us in such a way that we became fearful and we ran away again. We thought maybe it's the next prophet, Ibrahim, next prophet, coming down, Musa, next prophet, coming down all the way through every single prophet until you, Ya Rasulullah. Even we believe that you are Khatamun Nabiyyin. We know that even you are the last messenger. So that means there's no prophets after you. So when we came to Jesus, for example, we assumed that that man must have been you because you're the last one. But now that you've come into this world and we can see you, you're not that man either. So Ya Rasulullah, if it's not too much trouble, could you please let us know, who is this man that saved Nabuwat all the way from Nabi Adam right up till Nabi Isa alayhi salam? Who was he?
Subhanallah.
So the Prophet said, "If I show you his face, would you be able to recognize him?" I said, "Ya Rasulullah, he's in our nightmares. Of course we would recognize him." At that moment, next to the pulpit on the floor, there was a person that was sitting down with his face down. So Rasulullah extends out his right hand, places it under the chin of this individual, lifts his face up so that his face is visible, and Rasulullah says, "Oh man, oh jinn, is this the one that protected Nabuwat?" All of a sudden he jumps backwards. Scared. Scared me as well. He got scared. He jumped backwards. Rasulullah said, what's wrong? He says, I swear by Allah, this man is the one that every single time we came to 123,999 prophets, we couldn't lead them astray because this man protected Nabuwat. Ya Rasulullah, man ant. Who is he?
Nara Hadari.
Ya Rasulullah, who is he? So Rasulullah began to introduce. He says, Hada akhi wa wasi wa warisihi wa khalifata min ba'di. He is who? He is Abul Hasanain, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya'subuddin. He is who? He is Abul Hasan Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Nara Hadari.
And from this narration we deduce what? That Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, forget the worldly khilafats that these people are bickering over. He is an individual that protected all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before even coming into this world. And not just that, if I could take it one step further, we actually have riwayat that say that if a Nabi of Allah did not attest to the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't even give them nabuwat.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
We have references for this. Allah would not have even given them nabuwat. So those who are here today placing him as the fourth Khalifa, we say to you, how can you place him fourth and place three other individuals before him as the successor of the Prophet when all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala weren't even granted nabuwat until they accepted the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib.
MashaAllah.
So the maqam of Ali ibn Abi Talib is so great that we will never be able to understand it. But the Prophet said it at Khaybar. He said what? He said, the man that I am going to give the flag to tomorrow, he is brave and a warrior who doesn't run away. Why is the Prophet saying this? Because certain people ran away. Now everybody's curious. Who's going to be that man? Because the Prophet has promised victory with that man. So it doesn't matter who he gives the flag to, that person 100% guaranteed to bring victory. Sari raat koi sutta hi nahi. Me. Everyone's thinking, Ya Allah, please let it be me. Then the morning came and Rasulullah said, Aina Ali? Where is Ali? They said, Ya Rasulullah, he's just busy. He's kneading dough and making bread for the companions of the Prophet. The Prophet said, call him. They called Amir al-Mu'mineen forward. Amir al-Mu'mineen was then given the flag, the alam that we talk about, the alam. It was given to Amir al-Mu'mineen first. Amir al-Mu'mineen came forward. Now within the Jewish scriptures, there is a passage within the Torah that says that there will come a man who will be able to pierce through the earth. So when they saw Amir al-Mu'mineen come, Amir al-Mu'mineen held the alam in his hand and he placed it so hard into the ground that it cracked a stone and went into the earth. So when they saw this, they ran back to their rabbi and they said, hold on a minute, you know that prophecy that we were reading, you know repetition every day, there's a man, we think he's here now. So the rabbi comes out, he sees the alam of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the ground. So he says, no, that's not the man. They said, why? They said, because the distillation of the stars is such that the stars had come right above him, and for that reason the earth became soft, and the earth became soft, and for that reason he was able to pierce it through. Ask him to do it again, if he is that man. So they asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, can you do it again? Amir al-Mu'mineen pulled the alam out of the ground, took a few steps to the right, smashed it back into the ground. Took it out again. And some narrations say he did it multiple times, but I've read twice, so I'll say it was twice. But firvi, twice. The second time when Amir al-Mu'mineen did this, they realized this is not just a normal man. This is something unique. To when Harith, Marhab and Antar, the three brothers came out to fight Amir al-Mu'mineen, I'm not reading Khaybar, but inshallah he fought them. How? By one strike he sent them away. How did he introduce himself? Before every war in Arabia, they used to come out and introduce themselves. They would either introduce themselves from their name, or they would introduce it from their tribe, or they would introduce it from their religion. Even in Karbala, you'll see that every single member, even the Sahaba of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam, would come out and they would introduce themselves in poetry. So Harith comes out, Marhab comes out, they all have this. So Marhab comes out and he says, my mother named me Maut, death, to scare the other individual. Why? Because I am that rope between the skies and the earth. Then he looks towards Amir al-Mu'mineen and says, now you introduce yourself. So before Amir al-Mu'mineen introduced himself, he said, look, Nabi Musa, Nabi Harun, alayhimus salam, were prophets of God. You love them and support them. We love them and support them as well. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen, when it came to fighting, it was the last resort. He wasn't a person who would just go in and just randomly start killing people. He'd give them an opportunity to see. So he was testing them. So he said, look, Haris, Marhab, Antar, all three of them. He said, look, Nabi Musa is our Nabi Musa. That prophet that Nabi Musa prophesied about from Arabia, Ahmad, that's the one standing behind me. He's continuing the same message that you believe in. Let's not fight. So when I said, no, we're going to fight, and Amir al-Mu'mineen realized that there was no other option but to fight, then he says, my mother named me Haydar.
Nara Haydari!
You see, the moment Amir al-Mu'mineen said, my mother named me Haydar, he was holding two swords in his hand, both swords fell onto the ground. So he was a warrior. The people within the forts of Khaybar knew that as long as Marhab is alive, we're good. If he is to die, that's it, we're done for. So to see that strong warrior all of a sudden drop his two swords from his hand and his hands begin to shake, they said, what's wrong? He said, I'm not fighting you. He picked up his swords, he turned away from Amir al-Mu'mineen, began to walk backwards. So the rabbi comes forward and says, what's wrong? He says, my mother said to me once, oh Marhab, you are very strong. You will grow to be a ferocious warrior. You will kill many people. However, if a man by the name of Haydar comes to you, don't fight him, he'll send you away.
Subhanallah.
So according to that, I don't want to fight him. However, the rabbi said to him, look, that must be a different Haydar. Your mother probably mispronounced the word, whatever it was. They convinced him to go back. Marhab fought, and he was killed by one strike. Amir al-Mu'mineen didn't need two strikes. Just the one strike, Dharab of Ali. Killed Marhab instantaneously, and then as we all know, he lifted the gates of Khaybar, which 40 men used to lower and raise. On his own, Amir al-Mu'mineen lifted the gates of Khaybar and then used it as a bridge for the Muslims to enter into the Qilla, into the fort, and attain victory. But before Amir al-Mu'mineen went out, what did the Prophet say? He said, no one understands Allah other than me and Ali. No one understands me other than Allah and Ali. And no one understands Ali other than Allah and me.
Subhanallah.
So Rasulullah has already set the criteria. We can never understand Amir al-Mu'mineen. I could sit here for years and years and read Fadail after Fadail after Fadail after Fadail. And if you look at the bigger grand scope of things, we haven't even touched a drop of the real merits of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He is an ocean and we can merely be small drops. However, with our limited mind, we can mention what Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt have mentioned. However, when it comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen, another narration has come to me. Rasulullah once said, and this is a very famous one, if all the trees in this world were to turn into pens, so imagine how many trees there are in this world. The Brazilian rainforest on its own is a lot. Rasulullah says, if all the trees in this world were to turn into pens, and all the oceans in this world would turn into ink, and humans and jinns and angels were to sit down and write the fadail of Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said the day of judgment will come, they won't do justice to it.
Nara Haydari!
They won't do justice to it. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen. So we can't exactly understand who he is, but inshallah we will try. So when it comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen, continuing on from yesterday's lecture, we were speaking about what? Not my prophet. And we discussed that the way these people have introduced the Prophet of God, he is not our Prophet that way. And we distinguished and we showed you that our Prophet was infallible, he was ma'soom, he knew he was a Prophet, the whole thing. Today, moving onwards, I would like to title this lecture, Where Does Allah Mention Imam Ali in the Quran? And inshallah, from today all the way till the 9th of Muharram, Majalis, inshallah, I will stick with this topic. We have several verses that inshallah I would like to bring forward, and inshallah we will discuss them together, and we will all benefit from this if Allah gives us tawfiq. When you open the Quran, what's the first verse that you read? Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. So one day Amir al-Mu'mineen was asked, Ya Ali, by Ibn Abbas, who was his cousin, could you please write the tafsir of Surah Fatiha? Because Surah Fatiha is the nichor, as we say, of the whole Quran. If you were to sum up the Quran, Surah Fatiha. So could you please write the tafsir of Surah Fatiha? And this was around Isha time. So he left, he came back at Fajr time, and Amir al-Mu'mineen is still writing. So he says, Ya Ali, you're not done yet. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I haven't even finished doing the tafsir of the Nuqta and the Ba of Bismillah, let alone Surah Fatiha.
Subhanallah.
What do you know about the knowledge of Amir al-Mu'mineen? 1,000 doors of knowledge were given to him by the Prophet, and each door opened into another 1,000.
Subhanallah.
So Ibn Abbas says, the dot. How much can you write on a dot? This is when Amir al-Mu'mineen said, the entire Quran can be summed up in Surah Fatiha. Surah Fatiha can be summed up into the Bismillah. Bismillah can be summed up into the Ba. The Ba can be summed up under the dot of the Ba. Oh Ibn Abbas, ana nuqtatu tahta al-Ba. I am that dot under the Ba. I am the dot under the Ba. Meaning what? Meaning that if you were to take the letter Ba and remove the dot from it, it doesn't make sense. It has no meaning, it has no value, it's not a bar without the dot. Well, Amir al-Mu'mineen was saying, take me out of Islam, there is no Islam. I'm the reason you guys are Muslims today. So that's the opening of the Quran. So already we haven't even looked at the Quran or the verses, we've just looked at Bismillah and we've already found Amir al-Mu'mineen within the first letter of the first verse of the first dot. And you'll see, however, throughout these nights, there are many verses in the Quran that even I was surprised. These were all revealed about Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Let's come on to something else, moving forward. Once you've read Surah Fatiha, you'll see that within that surah we say, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. When Imam Baqir alayhi salam was asked, what is this sirat? You'll notice that when these people translate the Quran, there's a difference in translation. There's a difference in meaning. Why? I'll prove to you now that the Quran has been translated differently within the schools of the religion of Islam. We take our translation and our tafsir, ta'wil and tafsir, meaning the outward and inward meaning, only from the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt, no one else. If you pick up our books, you will never see a narration of a Shia companion of any of the Imams saying, I think this verse was revealed for this. Never. They will always link you back to Qala Sadiq, Qala Al-Baqir, Qala Ali ibn Abi Talib, Qala Rasulullah. Because they are the ones who can teach us what this is. We don't know this. However, if you pick up the books of the tafasir of Ahl Sunnah, what will you say? Mujahid said this, Ibn Abbas said this, Abu Huraira said this, that person Falan said this. Who are they? Did they not listen to the Prophet? Were they not sitting with the Prophet? Were they not the Ashab of the Prophet? So why does your tafsirs not link back to the Prophet? It doesn't matter what Mujahid thinks. There's no value of what Ibn Abbas thinks. Unless they say that Ibn Abbas said, I heard from the Messenger of God. Fir subhanallah. But his opinion has no value in the religion of Islam. And I'll show you how they have changed the translations as well. Soon as we finish, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, the path. How do they translate it? If you were to check your phones after this lecture, write Surah Fatiha, look at the English translation, read Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Those who have the phones in their hands now can check now as well. Read Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. How is it translated? They will say, guide us to the right path. If you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guide me to the right path. So what are you right now? Are you on the wrong path? And every day in your namaz, multiple times, you're saying, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Allah guide me, guide me, guide me. Guidance. Think about it. Imam says, alayhi salam says, the translation of Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim is, oh Allah, keep me on the right path. Why? Because by following Ali ibn Abi Talib, we're already on the right path.
Subhanallah.
Therefore, keep me on the right path. And then the Imams go on to say, what is the right path? That is Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is the right path. So let's come on to Surah Baqarah, which is chapter 2. We're taking this chronologically. Chapter 2 in the Quran, the longest surah in the whole Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah. We won't even go far. We'll start from the first one. Alif, Lam, Mim. Now, Alif, Lam, Mim is a bit of a tricky one because in essence, we truly don't know what Alif and Lam and Mim stand for. We have interpretations and our scholars have come forward with some sort of meanings for them, and the Imams have also given us interpretations, but we can never know for sure what alif, lam, mim, or any of the haruf muqatta'at mean. They are called the secrets of the Quran. And when they call the secrets of the Quran, they say other than the Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt, no one knows. And the reason why it's not widely accepted what these haruf are is because these people have not gone to the Ahlul Bayt. Again, they've gone to the companions or the tabi'een, meaning the companions of the companions. And ask them, what does alif lam mean? What does yasin mean? What does alif lam ra mean? What does ha, qaf, ain, saad mean? And they're given their own interpretations. Alif could be Allah, lam could be Jibreel, mim, and they're given their own interpretations. However, when we come to the Ahlul Bayt, what do we see? Alif, lam, mim. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Again, I ask you, check your phones. What is the translation of ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ? This is a book of which there is no doubt. ذَلِكَ means that. هَذَا means this. For example, in the Battle of Uhud, when Rasulullah was struck and the companions ran away, Imam Ali alayhi salam would hold the hand of the Prophet and he would say, Hadha Nabi, Hadha Nabi. Don't run away, he's still alive. Don't retreat, he's here. And then at Ghadir, the Prophet raised Imam Ali's hand and said, Hadha Ali, Hadha Ali. So they are in connection with each other. However, Hadha and Dhalika in Arabic grammar, it's literally this and that. Nowhere in the Quran or in any linguistic Arabic lexicon will you ever see the word dhalika translated as this. Dhalika means something that's far away from you, so you say that. Hadha means this. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said alif lam mim hadha al-kitabu la rayba fi, we can say, okay, Allah's talking about the Quran here. Yeah, he's saying alif lam mim, this is a book of which there is no doubt. And we would have accepted that. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, he's not going to make a mistake in Arabic grammar when he created Arabic. So the Quran says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Now it's on us. What is this book? It's not the Quran. Because if it was the Quran, Allah would have said, هَذَا الْكِتَابُ. He said, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا. That is a book. Keri book. Now it's our job to study this, right? Okay. So this is just to show you the translation is wrong. So if you were to search this, you'll see it. They'll say this is a book. It's not this, it's that. Meaning what? Allah isn't talking about the Quran here. Which means there is another book. What is that book? Abu Basir has narrated from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Who said, the book is Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Subhanallah.
He is the book that Allah is speaking about when He says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ.
Subhanallah.
Ali ibn Abi Talib is the book of which there is no doubt.
Subhanallah.
So if you stand here and doubt his wilayat, what are you doing? You're doubting the Quran. Allah is saying there is no doubt in the wilayat of Ali. You're saying, no, I have a doubt. I believe 3 more before him. And what does Alif Lam Mim mean? So one of the Imams were asked, what does Alif Lam mean? Now this is an interpretation from an Imam, so it's not something that we've made up. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said that if our hadiths come to you and they don't make sense, don't reject them, just return them back to us. Because if you reject them unintentionally, you might be calling us liars, or you might be saying the Imam can't say this. And let's say, for example, that he did. So the Imam says, if you don't understand it, don't just say, no, my Imam didn't say this, as some people do. Just bati jaja. No. The Imam says, if you don't understand it, give it back to us. Don't just reject it. They were asked, what does Alif, Lam, Mim mean? They said, not only is Ali ibn Abi Talib the book of which there is no doubt, but Alif and Lam put together mean Al. Mim can come from Muhammad. What is Allah saying? He's saying Al Muhammad is a book of which there is no doubt.
Subhanallah. Nara Hadari.
They are a book
MashaAllah.
of which there is no doubt. And indeed, Al Muhammad are a book that there is no doubt. Because the Prophet said, I am leaving you 2 weighty things, that thaqalain. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, according to one interpretation, Alif Lam Mim means Ali Muhammad, Dhalik al-Kitab is either Ali ibn Abi Talib or the whole of the Ahlul Bayt. One more point and inshallah we will conclude, and then from tomorrow we will continue on in this journey. When I mentioned Alif Lam Mim, they are called in the Quran Haruf Muqatta'at. And again, if you were to search online or if you were to ask any scholar outside of the madhab of the Ahlul Bayt, what do the haruf muqatta'at mean? They will say, Allahu Alam. Sanu nahi pata, Allah nahi pata. So why did he give you a book with secrets in and then kept the secrets to himself? Te faida ki ye kitab na fir. Think about it. Like, why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place in front of you the Quran and then put certain letters in there and say, Mai, that's writing. And then they're happy. Other schools that no, it's fine. We don't need to know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's secret, bas theek hai, secret you know. The secret of Allah is Ali Muhammad. They are the secret of Allah. Allah says, I was a hidden treasure. I wanted to be known. Therefore I created you, O Muhammad, and then the family. So let's go to the family and see. Again, this is another interpretation. Haruf muqatta'at are the letters that have no meaning separately. They're just random letters that start with every single surah. Some surahs have it, some don't. So for example, Alif, Lam, Mim, that's 3. Yasin, Taha, Qaf, Ain, Sa. So there's many. If you were to write them all in a line, just put all the letters into a line, and take away the ones that are used twice, because some of them have been used multiple times, you will end up with 14 letters.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
See, this isn't a coincidence.
MashaAllah.
The religion of Islam isn't a coincidence. I remember when I was about 11 years old and I gave my first ever lecture in Glasgow and I didn't know what else to say. So I said, the Punchton Park are 5, we have 5 fingers. The months are 12, the Imams are 12. The clock is 12, so therefore after 12 you go back to Ali ibn Abi Talib. So these little things that exist out there, these are signs for those who want to see. And those who don't want to see, that's between them. So 14 haruf muqatta'ats exist in the Holy Quran. And Ayatollah Jawad Amali has come forward with this and he said, if you were to take, this is in Tafsir Burhan volume 1, page 167. He said that if you were to take all 14 of these letters and put them together and mix them around in certain ways where you can construct a sentence that makes sense, there is only one sentence that can be created from this. Meaning that if you were to rearrange these letters, they won't make sense. They'll be gibberish, just random words here or there. But if you were to put it in a sentence, there's only one. What did the Imam say? They said if you were to take the 14 haruf, put them together, what do they make? Siratun aliyun haqqun numsikahu.
Nara Hadari.
Ayatollah Jawad Amullah has actually written this within his book as well, so you can refer to that. He said, Siratu Aliyun Haqqun Numsikahu. What does it mean? It means that the path of Ali is the truth, so hold on to it.
SubhanAllah.
The hidden messages of the Quran, the huruf muqatta'at, are telling you the path of Ali is haqq. Therefore, hold on to it. And the Prophet would say, Ghadir, haqqu da'iman Ali wa aliyun ma'al haqq. The truth is always with Ali, and Ali is always with the truth. Now, a lot of people stop here, but the hadith goes on. Unfortunately, they don't tell you what's next. Rasulullah then said something even better than this. He said, Oh Allah, turn truth wherever Ali ibn Abi Talib turns.
SubhanAllah.
It would have made more sense for some if he said, Oh Ali, look for truth, wherever it is, follow it. No. Rasulullah is saying the manifestation of truth. If you don't know where to go, look, where is Ali? Wherever he turns, Haqq, follow Ali. If Haqq is following Ali, why are you not following Amirul Mu'mineen?
SubhanAllah.
These are just the opening of the Quran. We haven't even delved into the verses of the Quran yet. There are over 300 verses in the Quran that talk about Amirul Mu'mineen. Inshallah, moving on to our Masahib today, I would like to remember Qasim ibn al-Hasan. And as I say every night, every Masahib that we read is very difficult for me to read, even for you to hear. For the tragedy of the Ahlul Bayt is such that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam has said that if you saw what I saw on the day of Ashura, you will never smile again for the rest of your life. The Masahib of Qasim, bear with me today inshallah, so that I can explain the Masahib and do it justice. Qasim ibn al-Hasan, the son of Imam al-Hasan, when Imam al-Hasan was given poison and he was on his deathbed and he was vomiting out his own liver, they say that his chest was in pain, his chest had pain. Why? The jalan, the burning of the vomiting. So the poison that Muawiyah had given, the poison that Muawiyah had given to Imam al-Hasan, They say that when the person brought this poison towards Muawiyah, he put it in a metal container, right? And then he said, do not let this touch your skin. So Muawiyah would ask why. He said, because this poison is so strong that if it was to come in contact with the human skin, it would burn your flesh. So if this poison would burn the flesh on the outside of your hands and fingers and your body, Ya Hassan ibn Ali, Ya Aba Muhammad, what happened when this poison entered into your mouth, went through down into your stomach? How did it burn the inside of your body that you were vomiting out your own liver? At that moment, Imam Hassan says, my chest was hurting, so I laid down. When I laid down to relax, Qasim was 1.5 years old. The Imam said, when I laid down, Qasim came forward and sat on my chest, as children do with their dads. The mother of Qasim came forward and tried to remove Qasim and said, Qasim, beta, move away. Your father's chest is in pain at the moment. Imam Hassan said, oh Farwa, do not say anything to him. Right now, Qasim on my chest is giving me sukoon and peace. I am relaxed right now. Then he wrote a ta'weez in which he stated a certain letter. Saying what? Saying, oh Aba Abdullah, oh my brother, there will come a time when you will be all alone on the plains of Karbala. There will be nobody there to help you. I won't be there. However, my son Qasim will. I want you to send Qasim as my sacrifice on that day, so that on the day of judgment I can turn towards my mother Zahra and I can say, we are also included in this great sacrifice. When Karbala was happening on Shab-e Ashur, one of the narrations that I've read within one of the Maqatils, and it breaks the heart, they say that Abul Fadl Abbas and Aliun al-Akbar were in the tent having a discussion. Qasim was also sitting there and Aba Abdullah was standing outside the tent. What were they saying? Hazrat Abbas would say, oh Aliun al-Akbar, tomorrow let me go first. So he would say, why uncle? He said, because you Akbar are the backbone, you Akbar are the eyes of your father, the Noor. If you were to die, your father, it will affect his eyes. Let's not send you, let me go first. Ali al-Akbar would say, oh uncle, no. I should go first. He says, why? He says, because you are the backbone of my father, Aba Abdullah. When Abbas fell, what did he say? My back is now broken. When Aliun al-Akbar fell, what did he say? The noor in my eyes are finished. I can't see any longer. So while these two are talking and saying this, Qasim is sitting there. Qasim comes forward. He says, oh Aliun al-Akbar, oh Uncle Abbas, why don't both of you stay? Why don't I go first? Because you are the eyes of Aba Abdullah. You are the back of Aba Abdullah. What am I? I am just an orphan of Hassan. No one will be affected by my death. At that moment, Aba Abdullah rushes in towards the tent. He picks up Qasim, he hugs him, he kisses him. He says, oh Qasim, don't you dare say that you are an orphan. You are my son. Your death will affect me, Qasim. The first to come forward from Bani Hashim was Aliun al-Akbar. When Aliun al-Akbar was martyred, Qasim came forward. Aba Abdullah was standing outside his tent saying, Allah hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anybody that will answer my call and help me? Qasim came forward and said, Labbaika ya Amma, I am here, O uncle, at your service. Imam said, no, go back, Qasim. Several times Qasim would ask, the Imam would say no. Qasim would ask, the Imam would say no. Qasim walks back in towards his tent. His mother sees him. She says, oh Qasim, why have you not gone to the battlefield? He says, mother, every time I ask permission from Aba Abdullah, he says, you are the nishani of my father Hassan. Whenever I miss my brother, I look at you. Whenever I miss and smell you, I remember my brother. Qasim, I cannot send you. So she says, oh Qasim, there is a ta'weez, a band on your arm. Open that band, give it to Aba Abdullah. He will never say no to you again. So Qasim takes out the band. He gives it to Aba Abdullah. He reads it. It's the words of his brother Hassan. Imam Hassan was the Imam of Aba Abdullah. So he would listen to him, wouldn't he? So it says on there, oh Aba Abdullah, on that day I want you to send Qasim. So all of a sudden he began to cry. The books of the Maqatil say, Qasim cried so much, he was kissing the hands of Aba Abdullah, kissing the feet of Aba Abdullah, begging him, oh my uncle, please give me permission. Finally, when the Imam says you can go, they both began crying until the riwayat say both of them fell unconscious. Both of them fell onto the ground. When they regained consciousness, they got him ready. Qasim was what, 11 years old? So when Qasim was getting ready, they took the amama of Imam al-Hassan and they cut it in half. Then they took that and cut it in half again. They took a quarter of the amama and tied it around the head of Qasim. Qasim wanted to fight and defend his uncle so much, they said that Qasim didn't even get onto a horse. He just ran towards the battlefield, ready to defend his uncle. He would say, "In tinkuruni fa'ana najrul Hasan, sibt al-nabiy al-Mustafa wal-mu'taman, hadha Husaynun kal-asir al-murtahan, bayna unasi." If you don't know who I am the son of Hassan. You have imprisoned my uncle. I have come here to defend him. Qasim fought valiantly. He would have made his father very proud. Then all of a sudden they say that the left sandal strap of Qasim's sandal broke. So Qasim relaxed for a bit. He kneeled down. Why? To protect it and tie up his sandal lace. As he was tying it, a mal'oon came forward. He struck Qasim so ferociously on the top of Qasim's head that Qasim fell straight onto the ground. I ask you, pick up the books of the Maqtal. What will you see? That whenever somebody was struck, they would always say, "Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah," or they would always say, "Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah." Qasim didn't say "Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah." Why? Qasim was struck so hard. The sword hit Qasim so hard that Qasim didn't know what else to say. So as soon as he fell onto the ground, he looked up and he says, "Amma adrikni." "Oh my uncle, please help me. I have fallen to the ground." All of a sudden, Abul Fadl al-Abbas, Aba Abdullah, Aun, Muhammad, all four of them, they get on a horse and they begin marching towards Qasim. This is the most painful part of Qasim's Masaib. As they were marching towards Qasim, the enemy thought that Imam Hussein and Abbas are about to do a collective attack. So they got scared. What happened? All of the horses from the right began running to the left. All the horses from the left began running to the right. Qasim's body was on the plains of Karbala. They had stamped on Qasim's body to such an extent that when Aba Abdullah arrived, he couldn't even recognize Qasim. So the Aba Abdullah took his amama off. He picked up the pieces of Qasim. He says, "Oh Qasim, it is painful for your uncle that you call me and I cannot respond. Or when I respond, I cannot help you." He places the pieces of Qasim into his amama or his abba. He turns it around. He places it on his shoulder. He takes the pieces of Qasim back towards the tent. Final words. He takes the pieces of Qasim back towards the tent. He places it down. Farwa comes forward, salamullahi alayha. She says, "Ya Aba Abdullah, you brought back the body of every companion. You brought back the body of Ali al-Akbar. Aina Qasim? Where is Qasim? I don't see Qasim. Oh Aba Abdullah, can you please bring Qasim?" So Aba Abdullah opens up the Aba. He opens it forward. He says, "Oh Farwa, look down. What you see here, this is the pieces of your Qasim. This is your Qasim." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.